Thank you everyone for joining us tonight to learn about our advanced metering infrastructure, AMI technology upgrade for our water meters. We have a great presentation planned for you tonight, and we also have Spanish interpretation available. I'd like to introduce Mariana Rivarola, our interpreter, who will explain to our Spanish-speaking audience how to access the meeting in Spanish. Mariana?
Buenas noches a todos, un gusto tenerlos aquí, gracias por estar acá. Si quieren escuchar esta reunión en español, lo pueden hacer seleccionando un icono en la parte debajo de la pantalla y ahí seleccionan el idioma de preferencia. Y si están en sus celulares, hay 3 puntitos donde pueden seleccionar también si quieren español. Gracias. Thank you, Jessica.
Okay, great. So I'm going to send Mariana and Christina over to the Spanish language channel. Okay, there we go. Great. And I'd like to introduce, and Lucas, would you mind taking down the title slide just so we can see the panelists more easily? Thank you. I'd like to introduce Christopher Bolt, our Director of Public Works and Utilities, who's going to introduce us to the panel.
Thank you, Jessica. My name is Christopher Bolt. I'm the Director of Public Works and Utilities here in Petaluma, and super happy and proud to have this presentation tonight to share some of the greatest and latest in technology for water conservation and water stewardship. So with that, I'll pass it to you, Dan Herrera, who is our Deputy Director of Operations.
Thank you, Christopher. Yes, I'm Dan Herrera. I'm the Deputy Director of Operations here at the City of Petaluma. Working with Lucas. Lucas, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Lucas Pereira. I'm an assistant engineer here for the Public Works Department in the City of Petaluma. Happy to be working on this project with Dan. And the next panelist that we're going to pass it off to is Chelsea Thompson.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Chelsea Thompson. I'm the Water Resources and Conservation Manager for the City of Petaluma and supporting this project. And I'll pass it off to Ken Demlow.
Hi, my name is Ken Demlow, and I'm a Senior Project Manager for HR Green. And we're a 110-year-old civil engineering firm, and I'm on the utility technology side and have been in that industry for almost 20 years now. And the city has been talking with me and invited me to be kind of an independent voice to be able to talk through the different pieces of this to answer any questions. And it's just great to be with you all. And at this point, I'll hand it off to the folks at Badger.
Hello, my name's Brian Helpan. I'm with the Badger Meter, and I have been the account manager for Petaluma for 20 years, and we've seen a lot of changes over the years, and I'm here to answer any questions that may come up. And I'm going to pass it off to David Blakeney, who is a solution architect with Badger Meter.
Yep. Hello, my name is David Blakeney, Senior Solution Architect with Badger Meter. I'm here to help support our account managers such as Brian and also the City of Petaluma during their implementation of their project. I'll turn that over to Brad Lane.
Hey, good evening. Brad Lane with Badger Meter. I'm a Utility Solutions Director. I've been with the company about 2 years, and prior to that, spent about 19 years with AT&T, where Badger was a customer of mine for about 6 years of that. Thanks for having us.
Okay. I think that's everybody. I'm Jessica. I help out with communications for the City of Petaluma. So we are about to get into the presentation, and there will be a portion at the end for public comment. Before we get into that, I just wanted to mention at many public meetings, if you all have attended before, you may have seen a timer that goes up when we're doing public comment, and we want this to be a little bit more conversational. So we're not going to be using the timer tonight, but I will ask just in the interest of respecting everybody's time, and I know it's the evening and people probably want to get back to their lives after the meeting, that we try and keep our comments to like 2 minutes if possible. And without further ado, I'll hand it over to Dan.
Okay, thank you. Lucas, if you could please put the presentation up. Awesome. So thank you everyone for coming tonight. We're here to present our AMI, Advanced Metering Infrastructure Project, to let everybody know the City of Petaluma of what the city, what here at Public Works we're implementing for our residents. Go to the next slide, please. So we will be talking about essentially what AMI is. I'm sure that's a question a lot of you have. We're also going to be looking at a strong component of that system, which is Ion Water. It's our customer online portal that all the residents of Petaluma can utilize. We're going to be going through over the schedule of when this is happening, and ultimately we'll have a Q&A at the end of our presentation to answer any questions any of you might have. Now, again, that really deep question, what is AMI? What are we really trying to do here in Public Works? So AMI essentially it's a new kind of water meter technology. Essentially, it's really designed for collecting information remotely and ultimately in near real time. It can be utilized for early detection for leaks, and that really allows us to quickly repair, locate those leaks, find them, quickly repair them. And it really is an element to empower our community. It allows the residents of Petaluma to understand their water usage, manage it, optimize it, find out when you're using your water, and really plan ahead. And ultimately, as we're coming out of a drought, it's a really awesome tool for increasing our water conservation. Now, this slide explains what really is a water meter and what AMI is. So the water meters that you have in front of your house looks like, you look on the right side of the screen, that's what a lot of residents see in front of their house. It's our water meter box. Within that box, we have several components. One is the meter body itself. It's the brass structure that kind of has all the elements to track, to measure the flow of water coming into your house. On top of that, many of you might already know it's a register. It's what actually you can visually see the actual quantity of water. It's a little tick you can tick off. It's a little tool in there to show the old time leaks. If you see the little blue dial spinning slowly, that's how in the old days you could see how if you had a leak in your house or not. And that endpoint, that gray element right there, that's what transmits that signal to the collection system that we have. So ultimately, those are our three main components of what a water meter is and what's in front of everyone's home. Now, what this AMI upgrade is doing is essentially just taking a couple of those components and bringing in new technology. So really what we're doing is we're, as needed, those register encoders on top of the meter body, we're replacing those as needed. And ultimately, it's that endpoint that we're changing. It's a different way of how that signal is being transmitted from the meter body, right? The AMI, the advanced metering, it's a new type of signal, and essentially it delivers much more information, at a smaller package, but more frequent gathering of the data. So why are we doing AMI, right? That's a question you all might have as well. So what this AMI program is going to essentially do for the city residents it's going to give you online quick access to your water usage. Again, we're promoting water conservation as much as we can. It allows all the residents through an online portal, whether it's through your PC or computer at home. There's apps for it on iPhone and Android to really look at all your water consumption. This again allows for early leak detection. Alerts are done on these apps. If the system detects a leak that's happening in your system, it'll announce it to you. It'll give you a notification so that we can find those leaks much quicker than before. It also gives us operational efficiencies. So right now, a lot of our water service representatives, they're out there gathering that data. So we'll go into a little bit later, but the system, how we drive by and we ultimately collect that data through radio frequencies. And this is going to allow them to be more efficient with their time, allow us to utilize more leak repairs around the city. We always have tags that we receive that our guys go out there to make repairs. This allows us to be a little bit more proactive and a little bit and get to those tags earlier than we used to. And ultimately what this does is it just provides a greater water conservation opportunities. Really that's the name of the game. We want to conserve water and protect that resource that we have. So again, why AMI? It's just one action. It's kind of one piece of the larger puzzle that we're doing. It's something that we're doing today to save water for tomorrow. And ultimately, this is a group effort, together, not just the city, but with the City of Petaluma residents. We can achieve greater water conservation, with this, and really improve our water supply reliability, throughout the city. So our current water meter components, we implemented the water replacement program starting in the mid 2000s. We went to an AMR system. Again, we'll talk about that a little earlier, but they're really ending their useful life. So they're getting up in age. So they're really due for replacement. So ultimately, when we replace these water meter and the technology, we want to get the latest and greatest, so that we're doing the best for the City of Petaluma residents. The AMR, our current technology is outdated. Sometimes it's really difficult, with the supply issues we've been having the last number of years. It's kind of older technology. It's really difficult to replace those items. And really AMI, is that next step in being more efficient and more proactive with gathering of that data, so we can utilize that data and just have greater water conservation throughout. Right, you'll see on this table just a couple of the different, there's meters and coders, the different type of endpoints, different ways we can collect that data information, and ultimately how that information is gathered and brought to us to go into your water bill. So AMR versus AMI. So our current system right now is AMR. It means automated meter reading. It requires one of our service representatives to get into a vehicle and have regular cycles. I think we have 6 cycles to go throughout the whole entire city. We do that 6 times. There's 6 cycles, we do once a month, so we have monthly meter reads. It's limited. The data we get is very limited, and not a lot of information that we can get from that. It's just that one data point. We do have access to a little bit more data, but it's a cumbersome effort. It requires specialized trips, and just again, more effort for our water service representatives. Now AMI is the new technology. Essentially, it automatically, the water usage data is sent from that dongle up to uses a cellular network, uses an LTE 4G cellular network. It sends 4 text messages per day. So it's not constantly delivering a message at all times. It's really localized to those 4 times a day uploaded data transmissions. And really it ultimately, the nature of that with the amount of information that it can deliver, it really gives the residents that online quick access to all of their data usage, for not only for the city, for us here at the city, but also for all the residents of Petaluma that utilizes. So how will AMI benefit you? So really, it's going to give you information. That's the name of the game. It's going to give you up-to-date access to all your water usage, whether it's monthly, daily. It's going to allow you to see when you can be more efficient and when you want to irrigate, when you want to water your plants. It's done through the Ion Water online portal. So every resident is going to have access to create their own account and access the information to see what their data usages are. It'll also give you leak detection, right? I just spoke to earlier. It can sense when water usage shouldn't be happening or more than greater. So say there's water usage throughout the middle of the night, very constant usage, early in the morning. It's gonna interpret that as a leak and it's gonna notify you, hey, there's something that's not right with the system. It allows you to kind of be proactive, so you don't have to wait for that end of the month bill cycle where it's kind of, whoa, what's this big number? You can look at it and be more proactive, and that way it saves water and it saves you a large bill, at the end of the month. Also, a benefit to this is reducing the amount of vehicles that we have on the road. Right now, we utilize trucks every day, gathering, not every day, but 6 cycles a month, driving the roads, gathering all this information. It's really going to cut down on that vehicles on the road and reduce those greenhouse gas emissions that happen because of that. This is a slide to just kind of show you that we're not the only one using AMI. showing the closest to us, the city of Santa Rosa has implemented AMI since 2017. Sonoma, the Valley of the Moon Water District, 2015. North Marin Water District, 2018. In the East Bay, we have Alameda County Water District. They started that in 2021. City of Sacramento, 2017. City of Santa Barbara, 2014. And there's also numerous. These aren't just the only people in the game. Many across the state and nationwide are utilizing AMI. So now I'm going to pass this on to Lucas. He's going to kind of give you a little bit more in depth on what Ion Water is and when we're going to be implementing this program.
Thank you, Dan. Good evening, everyone. So yeah, let's talk about the Ion Water, the customer portal, which is a very powerful tool, lots of features that we can use. So I think that was already a little bit touched on by Dan, but that the direct water consumption data that our customers can see, right? Before, like Dan mentioned, I think for anyone to get any information besides the water consumption that you have on your bill for the month, you'd probably have to call customer service, and it's a lot of effort for the city as well to have to go into the water meter device and try to pull that information, which is now easily accessible on anyone's, essentially just log in on the portal. So it could be from your phone or on your computer. And there's a lot of information that is shared as well on the portal. So it's not just now the monthly consumption that you can see on your computer instead. You can go down to the hourly information, the 15-minute interval of your consumption. And you can, with that information, essentially the sky is the limit. People can optimize their consumption, track, compare this summer versus last summer. It's a very, very powerful tool. So again, another key point and benefit from the Ion Water portal, it's the improved customer service. I think a lot of phone calls that can potentially be avoided by just the customer getting that answer from the portal, or you can now call the customer service line still, and then you can both be looking. Someone from the customer service side in the city can essentially walk through the portal with you. So essentially both people having the same information, it's a lot easier to understand your consumption. It's a lot easier to see why the numbers might fluctuate during summer, winter, all those things. So it's a much improved tool for everyone, I think, on that perspective. And then again, that super important feature, promoting water conservation. I think besides the leak detection, which is super powerful, because before the leak detection, I think a lot of leaks would go on and on and on for days and months until I think someone sees that water seeping through the surface, right, on your backyard, front yard, or on the streets. But now that can be caught much, much quicker, and a lot of that water that would have been wasted for months we can stop that right away. But so again, besides that feature, there is also just improving behavior, or people can use that information to now optimize their usage. You can almost be your own judge of your consumption, and that's really, really powerful. A couple more features now, a little more technical. It's a web-based portal, accessible by Android or an iOS iPhone. You can essentially set it for leak alerts via email or text messages. And then again, it's such a quick action now that once you're notified, you can call the city, you can call someone, and the investigation can happen within same day, within the same week. It's a secure cloud-based platform. There's lots of cool features on the hourly, daily, monthly, and yearly data charts that, again, like I said, just for that comparison that people can do and to be their own judge of their usage, right? People can compare their water consumption with it based on the temperature, precipitation, week over week comparison. So very, very powerful tool and portal. Now, let's talk about when is it happening. So the City of Petaluma started a pilot program just a little over a year ago, back in January of 2022. And as part of the pilot program, 58 meters were converted to AMI meters. And those are city meters in a lot of our parks and on our city facilities, as well as in some of our city staff houses, mine included, actually. So essentially, in this 1 year of collecting data and feedback from the pilot program, we've received tons of just positive feedback from our operations and from staff members as well that are using it. People that can already use Ion Water, the portal, see all the features firsthand. And in addition to, I want to say these 58 pilot programs just amongst city and city staff, I was also told by one of our the utility supervisor, actually the guy on the picture there, that we have one of our commercial customers, Petaluma Valley Hospital, just down the street from our office. Water consumption is a very key element for them in their operations, in their bill. I think the hospital, if I'm not mistaken, consumes water on a 24/7 basis for their facilities. So going from only seeing the consumption on a bill once a month to being able to track it daily, monthly, see everything, compare, it was a very, very awesome feature for them that we received that feedback from them as well on really wanting to be early on the AMI program. And I believe another example too that was shared with me on a case was a resident who had a leak repaired at his property. And then just in conversation with how could I have avoided this or caught it sooner? I think we shared the AMI meter project that's coming up. And then he asked if he could have an AMI meter be installed, which we did. And then a month later, I even saw the feedback myself that he was super proud that and happy that he could now see his consumption, and he was being his own judge, like I said, talking about, oh yeah, for a family, a household of 2 or 3 people, we're actually not using that much water. That's great that we can now see what we're doing, our consumption. We can see our numbers and see where we land on that chart. So it's really powerful. So yeah, besides the pilot program now, the citywide rollout is planned to begin later in the year here in 2023, around the fall and winter time is when we plan on going citywide. And do want to point out that there is an opt-out option that will be offered, and we encourage people right now to go on our website, cityofpetaluma.org/AMI, you can sign up to be notified when there's updates to the opt-out details, because we don't have those just yet. We're still in the early stages of the program. And in addition to, I guess, the pilot program and the rollout, the citywide rollout that's planned, we've also replaced some of the current components like Dan was talking about in the water meter that were failing from the old system, the AMR system, the AMR registers. We replaced a couple of those with AMI registers since that's what we stocked on hand right now. But we just paused the replacement so we can get the project going on a citywide basis. On here, the next slide is just a little bit of a big picture on the schedule of the project. So back in January 2022 is when we started the pilot program, which is lasted for a little over a year, just collecting data from that pilot program. Right now in March and early April, that's when we're holding the community workshops to talk about the program with the community. The design for the project is gonna start right early in the summer, so we can get ready to advertise for the installation citywide late in the summer as well. And we're hoping to award that contract in the fall. And then, like I mentioned, in the fall of 2023, award the contract and just get going, boots on the ground, to start this program that we're really excited about. And we're anticipating that it might take about a year, so about 52 weeks or so. So hopefully we'll have it completed by the fall of 2024. And I'll pass it back to Dan so he can take it away from here.
Awesome. Thank you, Lucas. So how will you know when your meters or your the encoder is going to be replaced? So essentially, we're, as part of that project, as part of notifications, we will either mail you or email you a letter a few weeks in advance. So as we get the project going, you'll receive a letter detailing, when the project window is happening. Ultimately, up to 24 to 48 hours in advance of your actual meter being replaced, you receive a door hanger. So on that, well, actually no, when we're doing that, you'll receive the door hanger when we're replacing that meter. If there's a meter replacement, if there's any water shut off, we will have a 24-hour notification. That's a little different. Apologize for that. So on this door hanger, you will receive information for Ion Water. So how to sign up for it, how to get your account going, and how to start really utilizing the technology that we're going to be installing. And also, as always, we have our city website. So we really encourage you to go to that website again, cityofpetaluma.org/AMI, and just all information about this project, any progress updates, any changes, anything that we're doing will be updated on that website on a regular basis. So how will the installation impact you? So water meters, as shown, are typically located either on a sidewalk, right at the back of walk, in a driveway, or in these little planter strips that we have. Really, all we're going to be doing is accessing that meter box. That's all we need to access. All the work is done in that footprint. So again, how will it impact you? Residential customers will most likely, I can never say never because that's a very strong word, not have their water shut off. Generally, we're just going to be changing those endpoints. It's not going to be anything, too crazy. If we do need to shut off your water, most likely it'll only happen for a 30-minute interval. Commercial, industrial, and agricultural customers, we are looking at implementing new meters for those, and so we are looking at having a more temporary shut off, last 1 hour, could be up to 4 hours, but they'll be coordinated. We'll talk with the property owners, make sure everyone's aware of when this is happening to minimize those impacts that they have. Now, one thing that you can help us is really kind of locate those meters and make sure we have clear, unobstructed access, because that is what will take time and a lot of effort. If we can have those clear, thank you so much for that effort to help us out. So in conclusion, what AMI is going to do is it's going to empower our customers to monitor their water usage, in near real time. It's going to collect the data more efficiently. It's going to help detect leaks early and more easily, and really allows for water conservation and potential savings throughout, that water use management. The things that it's not going to do, it's not going to change how you are billed for your water usage. It's not going to require any effort or drive-by. The data is going to be collected remotely, and it does not transmit or monitor any personal customer information other than what's being done now, which is essentially your customer number and the amount of water that's being consumed. So I wanted to thank you all for being here. Again, that concludes our presentation. We will be opening it up for any questions or comments that you may have, and hopefully we can provide answers.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dan and Lucas. Let's see. So I see one hand up so far. Darren at Cilium. You should be, let me see, allowed to speak.
I think this is working. Thank you, Jessica.
Yes, we can hear you. Thanks.
Perfect. So I just want to give a little background. I've been kind of involved with this concept since I saw it in last year's budget document for the city of Petaluma. So May of 2022, saw the AMI infrastructure, and myself, along with some other informed citizens, had concerns about, how does this play into the proliferation of 5G and wireless technology in our city, things like that. And so to recap, this is not using 5G technology. There is an option to opt out. Just understanding that kind of makes me feel better about this program. I also appreciate establishing the scope of what's trying to be accomplished. And for me, I tried to early on connect this with another concept a lot of people have been talking about for our city, which is to talk about having some kind of municipal fiber optic network for Petaluma. And I have been, bothering Christopher Bolt, bothering people in public works, asking, can we use this AMI money as some way to get a jump on some kind of fiber optic infrastructure, connect these water meters via fiber optic, don't use this wireless technology, let's go fiber and let's start the build out of a robust fiber system. That's a big ask. I think we have to remember as the public, when we come in not fully understanding the scope of everything, to really ask for some kind of change in direction or explore a direction, that is a big ask. And I have to say that the Public Works Department took that idea and totally ran with it. I mean, on this meeting, we have a consultant from HR Green. That was a consultant some folks recommended to work with experience in fiber optic infrastructure. And I have been speaking with Christopher and other staff members, and they've explored this idea kind of to the point of, is this feasible or not? There's so much time you got to invest to see if an idea is worth pursuing. And they kind of went all the way. Like, hey, would this AMI money put us toward a fiber optic infrastructure? Would it accomplish the goal? Because the AMI, the goal of this project is to increase our water conservation, make us more efficient. So would kind of looping fiber into this even help, or is AMI really the best answer? And I feel like this is a huge, massive win for public works kind of communication, engagement with the community. Again, I have been going to city council meetings, banging on about this project, bothering everyone, saying, look, here's what I want. And to see a city staff who already has so much to do, turn around, take all that feedback, explore those ideas, and then start this fiber optic discussion, it sounds like is very much still ongoing. The city is doing a lot to prioritize building out fiber optic infrastructure as kind of part of a long-term plan. So they're kind of taking, again, a lot of this feedback and channeling it into something totally separate. And then with this AMI, keeping kind of the scope limited and eyes on the prize. The one question I had in regards to the meters, again, a great presentation. I appreciate understanding the technology better. Was what happens to the data collected, you know, in terms of, would it go to any other end users? Would it be built into any kind of fee structures or eventual, like, not to say punitive, but any kind of like penalty system in the future? Is it strictly informational? Is only for the person who the meter's house is attached to? Otherwise, maybe it's anonymous or something. Just questions around data, maybe what is collected and then who has access to that data and what it's used for. But yeah, again, thank you guys for the time, and thank you so much for really going the next step to public input about this process. And it was just, it's amazing to see. So.
Well, thank you so much for saying that, Darren. I know we all take that to heart because we put a lot of time and effort into the public engagement process. So that means a lot to hear your feedback. Thank you. Would anybody else like to respond to what Darren said?
Sure, yeah, and this, Brian, I might need your help for some of this, because I think the question really is, right, what is this data that you're being used for? What account information, or what data that's transmitted to of water consumption, you know, how is that being utilized? Is that kind of correct, Darren?
Yeah, that's right. And the idea of, would someone somehow later on get a penalty or increased fees strictly based on this data? You know, is this being built into some model that's, again, it's kind of crude way of saying it, but it's going to be like used against the person who's at the user.
Like you were saying, yeah, I don't think we have any sort of like a penalty, like, so like the last sort of what we have, you know, water conservation. So we were looking at a target of 30%, and if this gentleman or this household doesn't meet that requirement, I don't think we're going to go down that route. But what I think it can do is really empower, because we do have those tiered, you know, structure, right? So as more is being consumed, I think it's going to really empower the resident or the user to figure out when you really need to use those, when you're really utilizing those, when you're using that water, and if you can structure it in a different way where you can get into those tiers. But for now, we are exploring a rate study that is incorporating, you know, the MPI technology. I don't see that as being big brother and going after the you know, unless, you know, Chelsea might talk to this, but, you know, there's these higher conservation tiers, stage 6, stage 5. I think we got to stage 4 last year. I don't really anticipate that being any sort of punitive. But as far as the data itself, I know there was a question about, you know, what information, how is that also being utilized, not in the punitive sense, but in, you know, do they gather any of our information being utilized in ways that it's not supposed to? I think maybe Badger might be able to assist in that.
Yeah, I can take that one. So the data is only 15-minute interval meter water data only. There's no customer proprietary information. There's no credit cards. There's no auto deduct bank accounts or anything like that. There's no personal information or social security numbers. And Petaluma does own that data. So I think the short answer is it's 15-minute interval data only. And Petaluma is the one that has access to that, or the utility has access to that, and they own that data. And you would have access to that as well via your Ion Water mobile app or that Ion Water customer portal that I believe Don or Lucas showed earlier today.
Terrific. Thank you guys for answering that. And I guess as a quick follow-up, would that rate study, I would assume that would happen whether or not we had AMI infrastructure. So it's not like AMI is responsible for something different with rates per se. That would happen anyway. This just happens to be collecting a lot of data.
No, yeah, I think it's just happy. I wouldn't say it's a coincidence because we've, you know, even before this project, I think we've frozen rates for a good number of years. And we would be implementing a rate study regardless of what's happening here. I think we just had a presentation for Sonoma Water on how they're going to be, you know, doing their rates, and so we had to kind of piggyback off of that. But we are now with this move to the future, we are incorporating the AMI, you know, that with our workload and you know, reduced workload with our we can utilize the water service customer, you know, representatives else, you know, in leaks, more leak, you know, kind of gathering. We're kind of taking all that operational into consideration. And so, but we are, yeah, regardless, we would have been doing this anyways.
I just want to add one other element here that we do currently have the ability to put customers on a water budget if the need arises, and we do monitor use to ensure compliance with the budget. I mean, during times of drought, that is very important. But we don't anticipate monitoring individual water customer uses unless we're monitoring a customer that's under a water budget. And our team is very good about sending, you know, courtesy notices to folks or letting them know that they have consumption that's, you know, appears to be high or is high during times of drought when we're in those scarcity times. So I hope that helps. Really, nothing's going to change. It's just more timely alerts and real-time data, essentially, which is helpful for everyone. It's a win-win for all, and also a win for the environment with, you know, groundwater reserves that we do have municipal wells that we can supplement water supply during times of drought, but we're trying to be good stewards of all resources. So this technology is amazing for that. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Darren. Anybody else in response to Darren, or should we move on to the next person with the hand up? All right. Well, thank you, Darren. We appreciate all that feedback and taking the time to comment. Next, we have Taryn Obaid. Oh, and Taryn, let me make it so you can talk. Okay, you should be able to speak now.
Yeah, hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great,
Hi.
thank you. I have a few questions, and maybe it's best if I kind of just group them by subject and then you can answer. So it's kind of conversational. And I guess I would say, let's see here. Mr. Brad Lane, you said that Petaluma owns the data. Does that mean that if we go with Badger, that Badger doesn't copy or shadow the data in aggregate and use it for any purposes at all? And then the second question maybe is for somebody on the city side. Do we have in place policy that we will not sell it?
Okay, thanks, Taryn.
And I have more questions after that.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry about that. Do you want to start with those and then we'll come back for more?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
Just,
Yeah.
if I could start, Brad, I just would say that we already collect data for customers. It's a great question. And I'm assuming, and Brad, you'll confirm that really there's no change. It's just that the granularity is better so that we get real-time data and information, but the data set already exists and the ownership of it, really there's no change there. I just want to bring that up as far as I know. So I'll turn it over to you, Brad, to speak to that. Thank you.
Chris, yeah, the answer to that is no. What Badger is not doing anything. We're not reselling that. We're not mirroring it. I forgot the term you used, but yeah, the answer to that is no.
Okay, thank you.
We're passing it through. That's it.
Thank you. And I'm sorry if I missed this, but could you please clarify, is it radio frequency or is it cell technology?
So I can speak to that. So the current technology that we have, which is AMR, it's a little radio frequency that sends signals out to a drive-by in a car. we have a little collector and it reads the signals there. So that's always transmitting all the time. What's happening right now is it's essentially a little cellular network signal. So LTE, it's not 5G, it's 4G LTE, and that would essentially send 4 text messages a day. And so it's not transmitting all the time. It's very limited bursts, 4 times a day, that it sends the data up through the cellular network and then ultimately to the servers here for to be utilized in our billing system.
Okay, thank you. And this is good because this is flowing through my questions. Okay, so do we have a short list right now of who the telecommunications carriers would be and where the infrastructure would be located? Are there plans to move it from LTE to 5G, or will there be new antenna installed? Is this going to be something that ultimately is we pay a toll to AT&T or Verizon or some other entity to use their wireless infrastructure?
Can I start this one, team? I just want to repeat something Dan said. It's a great question. That just for emphasis, that it's 4 text messages per day from a tiny cell phone located out at the curb. So at this time, my understanding is we don't need a 5G type of bandwidth or speed or anything like that. But I would like to turn it over to maybe Ken, if you have a comment as well, and of course, a representative from Badger to address that. Thank you. But again, I just want to emphasize this: just 4 text messages per day.
Sure.
And
yeah.
It's not like a smartphone that is being held next to your head or in your pocket.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Ken or Brad, go ahead.
Hey, Brad, why don't you go ahead, since you kind of know that how the pieces are going to be put together a little bit better.
Yeah. So, one point of clarification, the technology in that endpoint is actually LTE-M, and the M stands for machine. So it was purpose built for these low power wide area devices like that little endpoint that's going to be in that meter pit. And I'd also like to point out too, they're absolutely right. It calls in 4 times a day, the size of a text message, a very, very small text message, like great thanks. It's like 2 to 3 kilobits. That's it. That endpoint wakes up, it's on for maybe 2 to 4 seconds, and then it literally shuts itself off, unlike a cell phone that's constantly communicating. And not to go down a rabbit hole on the LTE-M technology, the industry technology is called CAT-M1, Category Machine 1. And that was developed by the Cellular Standards as if you ask an ex-telecom guy like me, it's both a 4G and a 5G technology. So when they get, we've had everyone on this call, I assume, has been through a 2G and now a 3G shutdown. So when they get to shutting down the 4G LTE, the LTE-M/CAT-M1 is going to still coexist with the 5G. It was actually written in the 5G standard, but it's not part of that like super fast 5G millimeter wave and all that stuff you're seeing on all the marketing and everything. So
because we don't really need it to be that fast, correct?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
So are we confirming that there isn't a component of this project that would be an opportunity for some people like telecommunications carriers that might want to get a foothold into Petaluma with 5G infrastructure? What are your thoughts on that, Brad?
Could you repeat that question? I think I understand it, but I want to make sure.
Right now, Petaluma has a strong ordinance, no 5G, no small cell antenna in school areas and also in residential areas, near our homes, near our children.
Yeah.
And so with this project and looking down the road that there might ultimately be, like my phone stops working after so many years because it just can't keep up with the new data blasting into it. Is there some risk here or something to think about that telecommunications carriers that would want to get 5G into our neighborhoods, into our schools, would be getting a foot in the door with some of the equipment that will be put in place with this system.
Yeah, so I think I understand it. And I would say that there's multiple flavors of 5G. And when you talk about small cells and everything like that, that's for, again, like that really fast, low latency type technology. And this technology does not need that. This technology is running over current infrastructure that's there. And the cell coverage is very good throughout Petaluma, the current cell coverage there that this technology work on.
Yeah, it is. Thank you. Okay, so I guess that's really like the big concern that a lot of people have in Petaluma. And for you guys to come here today and to talk with us is really kind of shocking to me, because it's such a different experience than we've had with the city before. It's a dramatic change, and it is so appreciated, because there's a huge opportunity for misunderstanding with the public when the city doesn't communicate, and the lack of transparency just is terrible for trust. There is no trust without transparency. And so thank you for your responses here. Let me just look here if I have any other questions, please. Contract.
While you're looking, Taryn, can I add a comment here?
Yeah.
That might be helpful for you and anyone else curious about this. First of all, just to emphasize something from the presentation, I'm not sure if it was mentioned, but these have a 10-year life. Is that right, Brad? These devices. So something customary in our industry is replacement of devices like this on a cycle. So Brad, do you want to comment on that? And then I have one more comment after you're finished.
Yeah, so it's actually it's a 20-year, but so when you look at the warranty, if you will, from a battery and a network, it's a 10 full and then a 10 prorated.
So we can expect a 20-year life maximum, but that's why the AMRs are dying, I would assume, right? They're fading out, the batteries are dying in the units, essentially, right?
Yeah, this AMI technology that you guys are thinking about implementing, I do got to take a shameless plug here. 1,500 other utilities across the U.S. Have implemented the same technology, and it was built from the ground up to be a 20-year solution.
Okay, that's great.
That is great. I'm not a big fan of planned obsolescence and just, keep chucking things into the landfill in the name of being green, buying more stuff. Just seems to me foolish. Okay, so I guess my last question. We're having a little bit of a power glitch here. My last thing is to really say thank you so much. I would really like for you guys to take the feedback that I'm offering right now to other departments in the city and share with them the video of this meeting, because this is unlike anything I've ever seen before from our city. It's a model that I think should be emulated in other departments. It's just, I'm stunned right now at this experience, and it's a pleasant stun. And I'm very grateful for you guys for doing this. And it's just phenomenal. I just can't overstate that. So that's my final request to you. And those are all of my questions. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Taryn. I did have one more point I wanted to share on the heels of that. Dan or Lucas, could you screen share a slide that it kind of ties to one of your questions, I think, on the strength of the radio waves and so forth. Go ahead, if you don't mind, Lucas. See you ahead, you're nodding. I assume you're going to share.
And then Taryn, I want to say I thank you. We appreciate those comments. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Put a lot of work into this. We felt that outreach was very important, and our entire city administration is supportive of this and was aware. So we did communicate out to other departments. I just wanted to share that. But go ahead, Lucas or Dan, if you don't mind describing what we're looking at here.
Sure. So this is something that we kind of use to really kind of compare the levels of strength, I guess we could say, of these different type of signals. It's something kind of easily where you can notice where, you know, at the very left of the visual, we have our meter and the strength of the signal that it transmits. And as you kind of progress, you know, the baby monitor that we have that, you know, many homes have is 11 times more strength of signal. The microwaves are up to 28 times more. The laptop itself gets up to 74 times more of again, that strength of signal. And then ultimately your smartphone, right? That 5G, you know, smartphone that you have on your ear, you know, 28,800 times more of what the strength of signal that the meter is going to be transmitting 4 times a day. So it's really just kind of something that you can visualize. Again, it's really easy kind of frame of reference to kind of see those levels of power that we're talking about.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. And Taryn, I see your hand is up again.
Yeah. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yep.
I just wanted to say that's an excellent slide. And I think that a suggestion would be to show that slide or a shrunk down version on almost everything you do. Because not only are you showing all the thinking and the good planning that you've done into this to keep us safe, but also the other thing is, please, people, don't put your cell phone next to your ear. Even in the instructions, it says, do not put your cell phone next to your ear. And it's a bad idea. Don't put it in your pocket. Don't put it against your skin. So I think that's a real good public service sort of a value that comes with that graphic. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Christopher, could I jump in real quick?
Yes,
I want to just pick up on, again, we're industry and from the telecommunications industry. So, or I mean, we're engineers, but I work in that side of it as from an engineering perspective. And I want to, Taryn in particular, I want to just highlight something Brad said. And he said that there's different flavors of 5G. That's actually a really significant thing just to think through, not only for this, but then as for ongoing 5G things. 5G is actually a technology. The infrastructure of it can be done in several different ways. And so like 5G can be done over just normal towers that already exist. Or it can be done in the small cell range, which is what Brad was saying, is has to be really fast, has to be really close, has to, you know, a couple hundred feet and very, very fast. Given that this doesn't require that type of speed and that kind of use, then it's just really more using this technology, not that means of doing it. And so this has a lot less intrusive need because it's such a small amount and it's so infrequent that using the technology doesn't mean it has to have that proliferation of all those cells and those kinds of things, which really are I think the part that's you're probably more concerned with. So I know that was an industry way of saying it, but this is actually really adapted for the least intrusive use is the good news of the technology. Even
least intrusive is wonderful.
Thank you, Dan. That was an excellent point. Thank you for highlighting that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ken. And
go ahead.
Thank you, Taryn. Thank you for the feedback. We definitely value transparency, and yeah, it's nice to hear that this has worked well for everyone and everybody likes this format. And we definitely plan to employ it more with other projects in the future. So thank you for that feedback. There were a couple of hands raised, but those people seem to have disappeared.
No, NZ.
NZ.
Yeah.
I see. Oh, wait, and let me make it so. Oh, no, now it's gone again. I'm kind of wondering if people are having connectivity issues with the storm.
Oh, they just left. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't we wait a minute or two? Here's NZ. Okay, hold on. NZ, you should be allowed to talk.
Hi.
Hi. Okay.
Oh, goodness. I disconnected. I really appreciate the backgrounding here and the discussion of energetics and the big picture, which is very conservation minded. Thank you. And with that in mind, I need to step back and invite us all to do the same. if we're really directing the community to an always on, perpetually networked way of life where we're holding our cell phones to like check our water use status, or we're using our laptops at, whatever times greater the admittedly low amount of energy that this system requires to monitor our water use, what's the net energetics here? If the entire city of Petaluma is going to do this to save water, what are we instead doing in this time of considerable climate consideration? And hey, it's pouring rain outside my place in Petaluma. I bet it's pouring rain at your house too. What do we think about that? It's all part of the same equation, isn't it? Right?
You can start. Currently, there's a great point, great question, but currently we are driving vehicles around, which uses a lot of energy, of course, plus paying the employees to do that circulation, and that requires a lot of energy. So again, the current technology is dying. The devices, the AMRs are dying slowly, and a replacement is needed. So that has to happen anyway. And AMI is the next wave of technology. And given our drought circumstances, the city has been blessed with I think it's a $7 million grant. Is that right, Dan? From DWR here in California, because AMI technology helps us to save on water consumption. And enhance our water conservation efforts. So if you really add up all these factors, water conservation, stewardship of all resources, I think it's a net win. Now, of course, we have no say in how people use their cell phones, computers, etc. But the availability, the transparency of a customer having this information, I know I will use it. I know that I would love to see how my family is doing with water consumption. So I think it's a net win, and I'll turn it over to the team to see if you have more to add.
I think the biggest thing is just having the option. I know it looks like we're encouraging everybody to constantly look at their data, but ultimately it's just the information, having the availability of that information. We're trying to empower our community to be a little bit more proactive in their water usage, and this is really one of the only methods to obtain that. Now we're promoting usage of your phone. It's just more not of the you need to or you should. It's just the ease of it. Like, everybody for the most part has a cell phone or a computer. I mean, it's just the world we live in. It's really just the information is available to you that easy, so that you could be proactive in the way that you manage your own resources, right? That you can plan and you can, find those leaks, find out how you're using your water, and really, encouraging everyone to take ownership of it, and really, look at that and help the community as a whole. But you are right; it is something to where we have a cell phone in our graphic, and it's using it, but that's not the intent. The intent is just to show how easy it is in this day's world to get that information, which is so valuable. Information really is the name of the game. You really can't plan your life around. You can plan your life much better when you have that information.
I'd like to add something to there. So the technology is available to set up that mobile phone app as an automation tool where you will not have to look at your phone daily or whatever, and it will allow you can set up the parameter saying, please alert me if there is running water consistently for more than 2 hours straight, 3 hours straight, whatever that is, or even down to like the gallon per minute. So you can set it up as an alert tool where you're not looking at it, and it will proactively alert you to whatever parameters you set up. And then you could go in there and take whatever actions you need to take.
Great. Thank you, Brad. Okay. Would anybody else like to respond to NZ? And I don't see any other participant hands up either, so.
Oh, I did want to say one thing quick, Jessica, or
Mhm.
it's more on the, I think we didn't touch on this on the presentation, but I do think it, on a big scale, I compare if I think we were to sum up all the leaks that could be detected, and I think we've heard feedback from other cities and water districts that have compared post AMI, prior to AMI, how much water essentially they're saving. Water conservation is the name of the game, right? And I just wanted to associate one small key element that we don't think about, the carbon footprint for using water, consuming water. I actually just had done this research, I think, on a previous project, just different objective, but I did remember seeing a number of, I think a household could consume about a ton of, or the equivalent of a ton of carbon footprint, essentially, just by consuming water, because there is the energy the energy for like treating the water that again gets delivered to you. There's a carbon footprint associated with that. So one, I think the main goal of the project is that water conservation for water supply resiliency, and not just having water be, dispersed in the ground for no reason, but the carbon footprint associated with that sometimes is not thought of. But I just, it's another almost a byproduct benefit that we're just gaining just by having the no water be wasted, essentially. I just wanted to point that out as a interesting fun fact on that.
Yeah, thank you, Lucas. That's a great point, and I hadn't thought of that. Okay, so I see that we have no other hands up. Participants, is there anybody else who would like to say something? All right, panelists, would we like to add anything?
I just wanted to thank everybody here on the panel and thank the president for tuning in to us for our project. And we're excited and looking forward to implementing this and looking forward to, hearing more feedback. We have a couple of these set up, and we hear you loud and clear, and just want to make sure that we're building that trust. And I, Karen, it speaks a lot. I really appreciate your comments, because it is a new day in the city, and with communication and being straightforward with what we do, we got to build that trust, with all of you. So I just want to thank you all.
If I could just add in again, is from engineers and just being contacted by the city to talk over some things. I also want to just let the city leadership know that you're asking the right questions and you're pursuing things the right way. And just like Darren had said early on, there are, when questions come up, you actually are saying, okay, let's look into that. Let's make sure we understand that. Let's see how we put that together. And you're doing it the right way. And I'm glad to be able to help. I'm glad to be part of it, but keep up the good work, because you're going down the right path.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate that. And thanks, Dan. I just echo the same sentiments, and really appreciate all the hard work that's gone into this on behalf of everybody here on the panel, and really appreciate our guests who have joined us tonight to learn more about this, and all future guests who will watch the recording and hopefully learn more about this program. We're excited to be joining and adopting this new technology in order to help save every drop of water. We're working on some key master planning efforts with our water system, our sewer program, and also our recycled water program. And it has definitely been identified as a best practice in the industry. So we're trying to put Petaluma on the map and adopting all kinds of best practices and putting us on a national stage of excellence with our public works department. And this is one huge step forward. So hats off to the team, all the way from way back in writing the grant application a little over a year ago to where we are now and embarking on this project. So thank you all.
All right, well, thank you so much, everybody. Attendees, thank you for making the time to be here this evening, and team, thank you for your expertise and all the hard work. And We encourage people to check out the website, cityofpetaluma.org/AMI. There's a sign up form there where you can sign up to receive updates, information on opting out, more information about the program. If you want somebody to call and talk to you to answer some questions, we're happy to do that. And we also always encourage people to check out cityofpetaluma.org/subscribe and sign up to receive our community update newsletter, where we will give information about this and other great programs that we have going, upcoming public meetings, and other things we're doing in the name of transparency to share the story of everything we're doing at the city with the community. And follow us on social media also. Okay, thanks everyone. Have a great night.